So I know I'm a little bit late to this, but let's just jump right into it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. So it looks like Blumhouse and Universal Pictures are slating the 5th theatrical Purge movie for July 10th, 2020. And if you've been following this franchise since the very beginning, you guys remember that this is a July 4th or sometime within July franchise. Honestly, it's become this weird, wacky American tradition at the movie theaters. And it's not too long ago that I remember, and I'm sure you do as well, where we had Will Smith Saves the World on July 4th type of movies. You know, these big budget Hollywood blockbusters where we had red hot blooded American heroes saving the day from world catastrophes every single year, right? But ever since the first Purge movie came out, especially the second film with Anarchy, the third film with Election Year, and then this last film, the first Purge, which was a prequel to the first three, I feel like the Purge movies have become kind of this annual or semi-annual tradition for the American people as we delve back into something, at least for the vast majority of people, that feels a little bit more akin to what's going on in our society from day to day, or at least the way social media portrays our society as this very combative and violent culture that just wants to rise up and attack everyone for no real good reason at any given part of the day. And you know, honestly, that's one of the reasons I like the Purge movies. It's one of the reasons I like the Saw franchise as well. These films, those films, they all give us a little bit of a catharsis. You know, this whole idea that I get to live through this through the movies, and obviously I know it's fake and everything, but there's a reason we all go to this and we keep coming back. And it's one of the reasons why the Purge movies keep getting more and more successful with each new film in the franchise. The first Purge, the 4th film in the franchise, was the biggest in the entire franchise, at least when you're looking at worldwide numbers. The first 3 domestically made more money than each individual one before it, and while it's unclear whether or not that trend is going to continue with this 5th film, they have already said that this is going to be the last film in the franchise. Now, they've already talked about the idea of doing a 6th film, something outside of the United States culture, maybe something internationally. Maybe this culture, this idea of what the Purge is, this universe that they've created, is going to start branching out into other cultures and other destinations. And that might be interesting. But to me, it's more interesting to hear James DeMonaco talk about how this film is the last in what he's perceived as the Purge franchise, at least when it comes to the movies. Because if they're going to end it with the 5th film, because if you're taking him at his word, that he has this idea of where he wants to take this concept, this franchise, and have a distinct, definitive ending, that is an interesting concept. Whether or not it's going to be another prequel, a sequel to the first Purge, or a sequel to Purge Election Year, which at the very end of that movie, they ended the Purge after the new election, and we're going to see the fallout from there, and maybe that is the definitive ending of this franchise. We're not really sure yet. The one thing we do know, though, is that the 2nd season of the Purge television franchise has already been greenlit. It is already rolling along. We're going to start hearing things about that franchise and that television series very soon. So look to 2020 to be a pretty big year when it comes to the Purge content. I'm sure if you've been a fan of this franchise ever since the first one, or the second one, third one, fourth one, whatever, if you watch the television show, then the 5th one's going to make you happy, and then the television show is going to continue, whether it's just one more season or it continues. You know, if I had to place my money on it, the way that Blumhouse does their productions, the Purge is getting a lot more recognition, at least in the outside domestic markets. And maybe if this next one is a huge hit, they're going to start determining whether or not they're going to do an international concept for the Purge, and they're going to continue with the television series to kind of build up this universe and have it kind of as the moneymaker on the side. Because even though they've had bigger moneymakers in the past with Paranormal Activity and other cheaper projects, it's starting to look like the Purge is going to be their longest running franchise, or at least their most profitable. Maybe because it's so simple, it doesn't really have to be terrifying, and it's just kind of striking a political and social chord right now that they're really grabbing onto. And whether or not that was the idea from the very beginning of the series, or it's just something that they decided that they were going to morph into, they have captured it and they're going to write it into the near future. So yes, while the 5th film might be the conclusion of the current iteration of these movies, I anticipate, at least in domestic box office gross versus worldwide box office gross, that it will do better than the first Purge internationally, while doing a little bit worse, if not a little significantly worse, maybe 20-30% lower than the first Purge, because we really start seeing a drop off with franchises like this, especially in the horror genre, once you get to the 4th and 5th picture. So it's not uncommon, but if it still makes money, if they keep the budget reasonable at around 10, 11, 12, 13 million dollars, then with a little bit over 100 million or 137 million, getting to that point with the first Purge was on, then you can expect them to do a 6th film, no matter what they say of this film being the end of this current iteration. They're going to continue with the television series, they're going to do an international movie, or they're just going to do a straight up 6th film that takes place after the events of election year or picks up immediately where the first Purge left off in order to build up the franchise even more. It just depends on what the story is going to be for this film in particular, and we don't know anything about that right now. We just have the release date. We all knew this was coming, but the idea that this franchise is going to keep stretching out and continue on, at least for me as a horror fan, as someone who likes the Purge franchise, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it, and I'm really looking forward to the 2nd season of the Purge as well as this 5th film. So I want everyone to go down to the comment section below. Tell me what your thoughts or opinions on the Purge series are as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And also, hope everyone will go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go follow me on Twitter, where we can talk about the Purge franchise, the Saw franchise, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the classic Halloween franchises that everyone looks forward to every single year and desperately wants to come back, or any anime discussions you want to have, anything related to film or anything whatsoever. I am always on Twitter. It's so much more easy to talk to me on there than it is to talk to me on this platform. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.